What is up, guys? Welcome back. We got another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show for you. It is Tuesday evening, November 19th. Hope everybody's doing well. In this video, we're going to go over my waiver wire injuries to monitor. I'll mention some of the guys that I like at the top of the waiver wire for this week. It's not a great waiver wire week. A lot of these guys are probably already picked over. So we'll hop right into it. If you guys do have a question, please get them in the comments and I will get to them shortly. But for now, I'm just going to read my injuries to monitor list, and then we'll mention some of the favorites, some of the favorite pickups. All right, so the quarterback position. You got Trevor Lawrence, the AC joint left shoulder. The Jags are on bye this week. We do have 6 teams on bye, so it's a bit of a interesting week here. We're going to probably need to be looking at some of these quarterbacks and things like that on the waiver wire. But 6 teams on bye: Atlanta, Buffalo, Cincinnati, New Orleans, the Jets, and the Jags. Trevor Lawrence. I'm not sure if we're going to see Trevor Lawrence again this year, but there is a chance that they do move on from their head coach. Who knows? We probably don't need to see Trevor Lawrence again this year, but we'll see if he does come back. The running back list is headlined by Isaiah Pacheco with that ankle foot injury. He's listed as questionable. I don't know if we're going to see him in week 12. I would imagine he's going to be limited in practice. If he does get a full practice in this week, that is a good news. I think if you have Isaiah Pacheco and he does play week 12, he is an interesting, low-end RB2 flex. I still think they're going to use Kareem Hunt, but I think there's a chance Pacheco plays week 12, for sure playing in week 13. It's a good matchup for Pacheco too this weekend against Carolina, so maybe they ease him back in this week. We're watching the 2 Raiders running backs, Alexander Mattison with an ankle and Zamir White with a quad injury. I don't have any updates on these 2 guys. I didn't really see anything out there, so if anyone has any information on those guys, please let me know. But Mattison and Zamir White both dinged up. Don't know if these guys are in jeopardy of missing this week, but I'm watching the situation closely. I do think Zamir White is an interesting add. Just again, the Raiders' season is lost. Why not see what you have in Zamir White and get him more playing time? Jonathan Brooks is expected back for the Panthers with a knee injury. He's going to be the RB2. I think Miles Sanders is probably not playing. He's out with a foot and ankle injury. So if he doesn't play, Brooks steps in right into the number 2 spot. I think Chuba's still going to be the lead back. It's Brooks' first NFL game action. We're not starting him in our fantasy lineups. Tank Bigsby missed last week with an ankle injury. They're on bye. We'll see about him for week 13. Moving into the receivers, I did list CeeDee Lamb just with that back injury, but he's going to be fine. I'm expecting Mike Evans to be available for week 12, coming back from his hamstring. It's been a month since we've seen Mike Evans, so he's probable with that hamstring injury. Chris Olave, the concussion, he maybe returns week 15. If the Saints are in contention and they can maybe be within shouting distance of wild card or the NFC South, maybe Olave comes back, but I don't know if we see Chris Olave anymore in 2024. Jordan Addison just had some cramps that he left the game, but he should be fine for week 12. Keon Coleman with that wrist injury, it does sound a little bit more serious than we had thought, but there's a chance he can come back week 13. Again, they're on bye week 12. Gabe Davis had a knee injury, a meniscus tear. He's done for the 2024 season, so it just keeps getting worse for the Jags. You guys can, if you had Gabe Davis in your redraft leagues, maybe even in Dynasty, we could probably let Gabe Davis go. Adam Thielen, I'm expecting him back with the hamstring injury. Not a great spot against the Chiefs. If you have Thielen, I don't want to rely on him in my lineups. I kind of want to see what it looks like. And then I have Darius Slayton here with a concussion. He's probable against the Buccaneers. It's a good matchup for Slayton. I know it's a weird situation with Tommy DeVito. I keep wanting to say Danny DeVito, but Tommy DeVito, maybe Slayton's worth a look. He should be back week 12. Tight ends, we have some heavy hitters here. George Kittle with the hamstring. Don't know if he's going to play against Green Bay. Sam Laporta with the shoulder. Don't know if we're going to see him. He's questionable. Dalton Kincaid hopefully heals up after with the bye this week and he's ready for week 13. And then Jake Ferguson, concussion. I thought I saw a blurb on Jake Ferguson. He'll be hard pressed to play is what I'm seeing from Mike McCarthy here. So I doubt Jake Ferguson plays. We'll be looking at Luke Schoonmaker and then Noah Fant here listed as questionable with a groin injury. If you guys need a quarterback this week, I think Jared Goff at Indianapolis, Anthony Richardson versus the Lions, maybe Geno Smith versus Arizona, and then Matthew Stafford versus Philadelphia. I actually saw that Justin Herbert was available in one of my 12-team leagues, the 1 QB league. So I'm going after Justin Herbert. So if you need a quarterback, again, Goff, Stafford, Richardson, and Geno Smith kind of piqued my interest. For running back, I have no clear must adds. Keep adding handcuffs. So the guys that, and I kind of broke down my list this week. The guys at the top of the list include Madison, Tajay Spears, Audric Estime, Jerome Ford, and Gus Edwards. And then I have a huge list of priority handcuff stashes, whether that's Zach Charbonnet, Devin Singletary, Tyler Algier. My favorites include Trey Benson, Cam Akers, Blake Corum, and Roschon Johnson. Roschon Johnson actually might be my favorite running back ad for this week because his usage ramped up under the new offensive coordinator for the Bears, and he looked good. He was able to get 10 carries. I think he had a catch or two. He had the goal line touchdown. He's kind of been the goal line guy all year. But I do think Roschon, Corum, Akers, and Benson are my priority handcuff stashes. The other guys there include, Khalil Herbert, Jalen Wright, Ray Davis, maybe Jordan Mason, Trey Sermon. There's some guys there. And then I just want to mention again, Zamir White. Maybe he gets a look as the season goes on here. Wide receivers, it's the biggest list. I'm assuming Jerry Jeudy, Rome Odunze, Quentin Johnston, Christian Watson, and Xavier Legette are all gone. If not, those would be my priorities. There's a good chance Marquez Valdez-Scantling is out there. He's worth a look. Elijah Moore, one of my favorites as well. Ray McLeod's on the list. I don't know. I missed it on the injury report, but Darnell Mooney had a hamstring thing. I don't know if he's going to miss, they're on bye this week, but I don't know if he's going to miss week 13. So keep an eye on Ray McLeod. And then deeper leagues here, Wan'Dale Robinson, Ricky Pearsall, Jalen Coker, Adam Thielen, Kendrick Bourne, and Nick Westbrook-Ikine. A tight end, if you need a tight end, you can go get Taysom Hill, Jonnu Smith, Will Dissly, or Luke Schoonmaker. And then defenses for this week include the Chiefs at Carolina, the Commanders versus Dallas, and the Buccaneers against the Giants. Maybe. But that's pretty much what I got for you guys on the waiver wire report this week. It's not a great week, but we can keep adding depth and some handcuffs. And hey, good evening to Harris. Who is your tight end and kicker pickup of the week? If you need a tight end, the pickup is Will Dissly. I think Taysom Hill's probably picked up in most leagues. Will Dissly, he's been getting the usage that I look for from a tight end. He's running all the snaps. He's the clear receiving tight end now, and he's playing very, very well with our guy, Justin Herbert. I think Will Dissly, he might be a top 12 tight end going forward. In the last 6 games, these are his target totals: 5, 11, 7, 3, 6, and 6. He's had PPR points of 6.6, 16, 9, 3, 8, and 18. Finally got a touchdown last weekend. Will Dissly looks pretty good for tight end needs. Otherwise, Jonnu Smith, if you can't get Dissly, get Jonnu Smith. And then the last one there, I think, was going to be Luke Schoonmaker. I don't feel great about it, but Jake Ferguson, not expecting him to play. Schoonmaker looked good last night, 6 for 56 on 10 targets. So Cooper Rush really likes to dink and dunk. So that's probably my list there. Kicker pickup of the week. I don't really play. I have one league with kickers, Harris. I don't really put a lot of thought into kickers, I guess. Let me go to my league here with kickers and see if we can find something. Maybe the Buccaneers kicker, Mike Evans is back. Chase McLaughlin at New York Giants. That could be a field goal city. You can maybe get the Chiefs guy, Spencer Schrader, who's going up against Carolina in Carolina. I think that's an interesting one. Maybe Jason Sanders, the Dolphins kicker, against the Patriots. And then the Arizona kicker, Chad Ryland, maybe against Seattle. Those would be my top 4 kicker options. Drop Jennings or Hopkins. I think you got to keep Juwan Jennings right now. Juwan Jennings, and I'm going to be doing my rest of season rankings on Thursday. And I had that question on Sunday morning where someone asked, is Debo or Jennings the guy to own rest of season? I think it might be Jennings right now. Jennings is a wide receiver 2 for me. So I'm dropping Hopkins here. Jennings is the guy I'd rather own. Spears or Warren pick up to start. I'll stick with Warren. He's had a good profile the last handful of weeks here. I like what the Steelers are doing on offense, and he continues to look solid. He's got a high floor. Let me see what he got. Last week he hit 10 points. It's his first game with 10 PPR points, so 9 for 41 on the ground with 4 catches for 27 yards. Those are both season highs, the 4 receptions and the 27 yards receiving. So Jalen Warren, his last 4 games, you got 10 points, 9.5, 7.9, and 7.9. I feel safer with Warren than I do the Tajay Spears call. Kansas City, Tampa Bay, Washington, Miami. This one's pretty easy for me. I'm locking in Kansas City. That's the top 5 defensive play for me. I'm okay with Tampa Bay. I'm fine with Washington. I'm okay with Miami. But if I'm ranking these, I'm going Kansas City, Washington, Miami, Tampa Bay. Browns, Eagles, or Seahawks. I don't really have a preference. I'm not doing the Seahawks D, that's for sure. So it comes down to the Browns or Eagles. I think at this point I'm going to go with the Eagles just because they're the better team. So I'd rank these guys as Eagles, Browns, Seahawks. Disley or Ertz? Ertz has been pretty steady. I feel a little bit more comfortable with Zach Ertz. He's seen 7 targets, 8 targets the last 2 games. Had the nice touchdown last week. He looks pretty safe. I'll give a slight edge to Zach Ertz, but I like both guys this weekend. And hey, good evening to Daniel. Drop 1. Kraft, Jonnu, and Disley. And I know Tucker Kraft's been – this is kind of what he's been. I know he got a goose egg last week. He's been a low-volume tight end 1 option, and he really only makes the lineup if he gets a touchdown. So I get the frustration there. Right now, Jonnu Smith is probably the guy that has the highest floor right now. He did catch 2 touchdowns last week, but he's seeing consistent catches of 6, 3, 5, 4, and 7. He's really been on a nice run for the last 6 weeks, honestly. So I like Jonnu's floor. And then I have a soft spot for Will Disley here, who's been playing well. But if I have to cut one, I suppose I'll let I kind of want to hold on to Kraft, but right now, man, he's, there's a lot of mouths to feed in Green Bay. He's sometimes the number 4, number 5 target. Momentum right now is with Jonnu and Disley, so I might drop Tucker Kraft here. Bucks or Steelers? I think the Steelers are a slam dunk. I want them starting every week for my fantasy lineup. They're one of the best defenses in real life football and in fantasy football. I don't expect the Browns to put up a lot of points on Thursday night. You got the Jameis turnover potential Buccaneers or Kansas City. If you can get Kansas City, I do like Kansas City a little bit here, but I'm going to probably rank the Steelers. Just looking at the defenses this week, like the top 5 defensive plays are Denver, Houston, Steelers, and Chiefs. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to rank these guys out right now. But I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to the Steelers. The Chiefs are probably right up there too, but I'm going to go Kansas City as my I'm going to stick with the Steelers. Tough question. Let me see if I got any news updates for you guys. Mike McCarthy is saying Cooper Rush will remain the Cowboys starting QB. Brandon Cooks is hopeful to return for the Cowboys this week. We're not picking up Brandon Cooks. And then Jake Ferguson, hard-pressed to play. The Jets fired their GM. That was kind of the big news of the day. Other than that, not a lot of big news coming out on Tuesday here. So it's kind of like a blank waiver wire news day. Pick up DeVito and play him instead of Caleb Williams. No, I'm still going to play. I'm going to play Caleb Williams over Tommy DeVito. DeVito doesn't offer a crazy amount of upside. I think he's interesting, but I'm going to give the slight edge to Caleb Williams. And I know it's a tough matchup on paper going up against the Vikings, but I thought last weekend Caleb Williams looked about as good as he did earlier in the year when they were on that nice little run. So he ran for 70 yards, being a little bit more open with running with his legs. So I think he's kind of on the up and up. I don't really know if I trust Tommy DeVito in his first game here. I know it's a great matchup against Tampa Bay, but I'm not super excited about it. I have to start him in a super flex league, so I'm kind of hopeful that he can do something, but I'm going to lean Caleb Williams here. But if your gut call is DeVito, then I'm not going to say no. Let's see if we can find any more opportunities here. Again, if you're just joining us, guys, I'm just going to read off some of my favorite waiver wire targets for you this week. If you need receivers, check and see if Christian Watson's out there. He's kind of like 50% owned in most of the leagues, but he would be a good pickup right now. He looked awesome the other day against the Bears. Elijah Moore is probably one of the better pickups if you guys need somebody that's available in a lot of leagues. Otherwise, MVS, I know he didn't get if he didn't get picked up last week, he's on a heater right now. And then I think it's big handcuff running back week, whether it's Cam Akers, Trey Benson, Blake Corum, those kind of names. Is Franklin a good ad? I'm not super in love with Franklin. Let me go to my I'm going to go to my post-game notes, Harris. And if you haven't been checking those out, please, if you guys are watching and you're members, please check out the post-game notes. I put a lot of time and effort into that and give you guys all the snaps, the routes, and the stats for that game. But we had a weird game. I mean, Troy Franklin only ran 19 of 35 routes, which is roughly 50% of them. Not a great number. He's not a guy that I'm going to ever feel good starting in my lineups. He was the number 4 receiver. I guess he was tied for number 3 in snaps. He did run the 3rd most routes. So you're signing up for what appears to be the number 3 receiver on Denver. But Sutton is going to command all the targets. You have Devon Vele, who's been operating as their number 2 receiver. And they really run a lot of 2 wide receiver sets. So Franklin's kind of only a part-time player. I don't feel good about him. In dynasty leagues, you can pick him up. But I think in redraft, I might prefer Devon Vele, who runs more routes, more snaps. He's been a better target option of late. He did go 4 for 66 last weekend. So if you're looking at the Broncos, I think Vele would be the ad over Franklin. Where you rank Hopkins, McConkey, and MHJ for this week? I'm hopeful we can start ranking Marvin Harrison Jr. as like a top 15 receiver rest of the way. I think Marvin, in my rankings, he's probably going to be top 20. He's going to be right there. I think it's tougher between McConkey. So Marvin would be my number 1 there. It's tougher between McConkey and Hopkins. I'm kind of nervous that Kansas City just doesn't have to throw the ball a lot in this game. We saw the floor last week with D-Hop. It didn't look good. Whereas right now you're going to get Ladd McConkey against the Ravens defense, which they're the worst team in the league against wide receivers right now. So I think McConkey is a smash play this weekend. I think he's going to be kind of in that Marvin Harrison Jr. range, probably like wide receiver 20 to 25 for me. So I want McConkey in my lineups. He's been playing good ball the last month and a half or so. And again, Justin Herbert looks great. Baltimore Ravens do not look great as a defense. I want McConkey in there. So MHJ, McConkey, Hopkins is how I would rank them, Daniel. Jameis Winston or Stafford? I am nervous about Jameis Winston. I get it that Stafford's got a tough matchup against Philadelphia, but I trust him a little bit more. I also like his weapons with Cooper Kupp and Nakua, a good running back behind him. I think Stafford has earned our trust a little bit, and he's been playing good football the last month or so. He's had 2 games with 4 touchdown passes in the last month. A nice 2 touchdown game against Seattle, and the one game where he didn't throw a touchdown in, he still got about 10 points. So I'm going to lean Stafford. This is a big game for the Rams. They need to keep on winning and stay on track for the wild card here. So it's also in LA, which is kind of nice. So I'm going to lean Stafford here. As much as I like Jameis Winston, a little bit concerned, short week. Steelers defense, I kind of want to stay out of that Thursday night game if I can avoid it. Drop Tank Bigsby or Madison. I'm going to go ahead and drop Tank Bigsby here just because they're on bye this week and he's got the ankle injury. We don't know if he's going to be ready for week 13. So Madison continues to play well when he gets the ball. But honestly, both guys are not like must-start players anymore. Madison, again, we talked about him at the beginning of the show. He's got an ankle injury. I don't know if he's going to be ready for the Denver game this weekend. But he remains a high floor PPR RB2 if he's healthy. So I'm going to keep Madison. Let's go Tank Bigsby. Can we drop Estime? I hate Sean Payton, guys. He is one of the most frustrating coaches for me. He keeps saying things and he never follows up on what he says, which is very frustrating. We thought we were going to get Audric Estime unleashed as the lead ball carrier. And in the game where they blow out the Falcons and they could have totally ran the ball 30 times, Estime only gets 6 carries for 16 yards. Javonte gets 9 for 59. I want to hold on to Estime just because I think the Broncos vibe as a whole has changed a lot. Like they are now what we should call a winning team. They're probably going to be in the playoffs. They have a nice schedule the rest of the way. And if anything happens to Javonte Williams, like you have the lead back, but I'm fully putting Estime in that like handcuff tier of guys, whether it's Trey Benson, Blake Corum, Zach Charbonnet, like those he's a valuable handcuff. I don't want to start him, but he's now getting more and more work, which I like. So he's on the up and up. And the other part that I liked about last week is he got targeted in the passing game for the first time. He caught 3 passes for just 9 yards, but those were his first 3 catches of the season. So Estime is a guy that we can't start yet, but the coaching staff is starting to show a little bit more trust in him, and I think he's a good player. So I would hold on to him if you can, unless there's a much better pickup available. Or drop Jonathan Brooks. Oh my goodness. Hold on to Jonathan Brooks. I mean, you've been holding on to him all season. I want to see what he looks like. If I've been holding on to Jay Brooks all year, I'm gonna see what he looks like. I'd rather drop Tank Bigsby. What are we doing with Kraft? So Tucker Kraft, and this is kind of what he's been all year, guys. He didn't get in the Packers Bears game this last weekend. It's not anything that concerns me. Jordan Love only threw the ball 17 times. The Packers had the ball for 24 minutes on offense. They're usually in the 30s. So a good 8 minutes off their time of having the ball and running plays. Again, only 1 target for Kraft. The Packers were all healthy coming off a bye. I do think there's better days ahead for Tucker Kraft. He's still running all the routes. Like there's no other tight end that's catching passes or taking time away from him. It was just a weird game where the Packers, I mean, the Bears ran 72 plays to the Packers 46. So they just dinked and dunked and kept picking up third downs and keeping the ball away from Green Bay. So I'm not panicking on Tucker Kraft. I still think he's a startable tight end 1. But right now, it's pretty glaring that he's going to be a guy that doesn't have a lot of volume. And that's kind of what he's been all year. So he's pretty much a touchdown-dependent guy. He can still catch 2, 3, 4 passes in a game for you, but he really needs that touchdown to come through. So I would hold on to him if you can. I do think I would rather start a Will Dissly this weekend against the Baltimore Ravens. I'd rather start Taysom Hill. I don't think I'm ranking Tucker Kraft as a top 12 tight end this week. I have to get my rankings out tomorrow morning, but I don't know. It sucks, man, because he had been looking so good, but it's a tough offense because he's not getting the volume that is required. Vikings, Dolphins, or Commanders? Vikings, Dolphins, or Commanders? I think I'm going to go with the Commanders against Dallas. That's kind of the layup here. I would rank them as Washington, Minnesota, and then the Dolphins. I like the Dolphins defense. They're in Miami, but Drake May has been looking pretty good, lifting that passing offense. I think the Patriots can scrap it out and put some points on the board. So if I'm ranking them again, Washington, Minnesota, Miami. I'm going from Ferguson and Kraft to Dissly and Jonnu. The only gap in my team is tight end. And that's not a bad place to be, man. Like when we kind of punt that tight end, we're only hoping for 7 to 10 points per game. I think Dissly is playing pretty well right now. But honestly, I think if I have to really think about this because my rankings are coming out tomorrow. And it seems like Jonnu Smith, Will Dissly, like these are some popular names to be looking at right now. I'm going to lean Will Dissly over Jonnu Smith, just probably slightly, but I think both guys. And actually, no, I'm going to change. I'm going to go to Jonnu Smith because he used to play for the Patriots. He's going to probably be up for this game. I'm going to rank Jonnu Smith as a top 10 tight end this week, and it's not a bad thing, man. Ferguson on the Cowboys are a sad state right now. The Packers, they just spread the ball out too much. Like even Jaden Reed and Romeo Doubs weren't able to Reed caught the touchdown, but the volume is just not there in Green Bay. They're spreading it out a little bit too much. Let me see if I can find anything else for you guys. Drop Tank Bigsby or D Johnson. If that's Deontay Johnson, he should be cut. I can give you the numbers on Deontay Johnson. It's just not great. Like Deontay Johnson, he's not happening with Baltimore. I think we need to move on from it. Deontay Johnson is number 4 for receiver snaps, number 4 for receiver routes on this team. He only ran 6 routes out of 36 opportunities. So he's not even a player that should be on fantasy rosters right now, because they're locked in with Zay Flowers and Bateman, and their number 3 receiver is Nelson Aguilar, and he doesn't even run 50% of the routes. So even if Deontay were to hop Aguilar and be the number 3 receiver, that's still not a role that we're going to find useful for fantasy. So Deontay Johnson needs to go. And sure, he can maybe start getting more work and more things, but he's just the process of starting Deontay Johnson, it's not there. So cut Deontay over Bigsby. Honestly, though, I think both guys. So both for Dynasty. I think for Dynasty, I'm excited about Bigsby just because he's shown us a huge improvement from year 1 to year 2. There's a chance that if he's healthy, he's the guy that's getting the lead carries. He's also shown a couple things, catching the ball and looking good. So if his growth keeps happening, like there's a chance where he's a startable asset next year for us. So I do like Tank Bigsby a lot in Dynasty. Not sure where Deontay Johnson winds up. I think if I look at his contract, let me look at that real quick. I'm not sure if he's a free agent next year, and he is. So he's an unrestricted free agent in 2025. Who knows where he plays? I would hold on to him in Dynasty just because we know he's a good receiver when he gets the opportunity. But it's not looking great right now. Nobody wanted him, and the Ravens just aren't using him. Would you play Schoonmaker over Kraft? Probably. I mean, Schoonmaker's coming off of 10 targets, and for me, that's hard to ignore. Whereas Tucker Kraft going up against San Francisco, we like the linebackers in San Francisco. Their defense isn't quite as good as it has been in the past, but I don't want to mess with Fred Warner and the middle of that defense here. So even though I think Kraft could be nice, I'm probably going to rank Schoonmaker ahead of Tucker Kraft. And Jake Ferguson, I would probably have ranked, as like tight end 10, 11, 12 in that range. He had been a guy that's been getting 5, 10, 8 targets in the last few games. So I still like the Cowboys dinking and dunking with Schoonmaker. So he'll be ahead of Kraft for me. Let me see if I can find anything else interesting for you guys. The Buffalo Bills are interesting. They're on bye this week, and I think we're going to get Amari Cooper healthier. We're going to get Dalton Kincaid healthier. We're going to get Keon Coleman back. But I just want to mention Curtis Samuel looked good the other day, 5 for 58 and a touchdown on 6 targets. Just someone I'm going to monitor in deeper leagues. It's they're on bye, so it's difficult, but I'm not sure if Kincaid's going to be back or if Coleman's going to be back for Week 13. The Chiefs, I don't know how the running back workload is going to look. If Pacheco's healthy, and they've been using Kareem Hunt to be their grinder, just getting 14 to 20 carries per game, and P. Ryan is clearly their third down 2-minute drill pass protecting back, and then Carson Steele's just kind of like the breather guy. So Carson Steele's probably going to get pushed out of everything. They might still have a role for Samaje Perine, and I would imagine they're still going to have some carries there for Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt, he still might be the goal line back too when he comes back in. So I think for Week 12, at least my rankings will have Kareem Hunt as the better play over Pacheco. But who knows? I could be wrong there, and Pacheco could come back in and just be the lead back. I think there's probably a chance Hunt still gets 10 to 12 carries. There's probably 5 to 10 carries for Pacheco somewhere in there. But I think it's kind of difficult to project how Andy Reid's going to use these running backs. But I think it's clear Carson Steele's probably going to be the odd man out for the Chiefs. See if we got anything else here for you guys. I will be going live tomorrow night at 7 o'clock Central Time. So we'll go over the day's practice reports and any other news and stuff that comes out. So 7 o'clock Central Time, Wednesday evening, if you guys want to hang out with me. I do see 15 people hanging out here. Make sure you guys like the video, Subscribe if you are new, and check out the fantasyfellowship.com. Got memberships over there with a bunch of good stuff for you guys. But that's it for me. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you again for hanging out with me tonight, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday night. Good luck on your waiver wires. We'll see you tomorrow night. Peace.
Got me feeling icy.